Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. Robert here, your resident Gen Xer, and over there to my left, right, over there, hi, John, is John, our resident millennial.
This guy.
That guy.
Yeah,
What's gay and has sunglasses and two thumbs?
that guy.
No, you put your thumbs up, doofus.
Yeah, I got that like hitchhiker's thumb,
it's
so like it points right back at me.
it's kind of what your penis looks like too. I think is so.
Well,
I think we're
it's
good
more
there.
like it's more like this.
Really, it's gotten longer. I got you.
Hey, Tenchi says he can actually hear you now, Robert. Good job. You didn't boomer
Hey,
it up this time. We were actually just talking about that right before the show.
hit like or God kills a puppy. That's a good message. I
That's
like
right.
what you're putting out there, John. I'm picking up
I
what
mean,
you're putting down.
I don't make the rules.
Folks, how are you doing this evening? Glad that everybody showed up tonight. John, we have a big crowd tonight, don't we? You were counting attendance, and the numbers are pretty staggering. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got at least like 15 billion people in the chat right now. It's pretty incredible.
But they're not logged in.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. They will slowly be appearing. You'll see them throughout, I think. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Probably.
don't worry if the chat gets a little overwhelming tonight. Got a show tonight, John. We got a little show. All
Yeah,
right.
this is actually the first show that I've not been a part of, knowing what's going on. So this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about what we're going to be talking about tonight, did we?
Yeah,
I
so
mean, I
that'll be a
put
fun little surprise.
I put a little I put some stuff in the title of the
Yeah,
show. But did you cheat? Did you look?
I did a little bit,
Yeah.
but I mean, most of it was stuff that I figured we were already gonna talk about. So
Hmm.
not that big a deal,
Really?
but I'm sure you
But
got some things special cooked up.
what specifically about those? Right? What are we? What
Right, exactly.
what could we be talking about?
Yeah,
Um, so how's your week been, John? You been doing good? Nothing major, scary, anything?
something scary.
Hmm.
Thought one of my coworkers was either dead or arrested. So, but he's not, so it's okay.
Okay, those are pretty two varying things.
Yeah,
Dead or arrested
right,
because you couldn't get in touch with them,
right.
and your mind immediately goes to dead or arrested.
Well, so there's a reason, right?
Okay.
It was because him and a few of other my some of my other coworkers went to a bar that's actually quite near us,
Uh huh.
and I didn't end up going. I think I had to do the show
Is this a
actually.
bar I've been to before?
Yes,
Gotcha.
yes, it is. And so they went there, and apparently they got, or at least he got really drunk, very, very drunk. And
This does happen at bars sometimes, right?
yeah, it's been known to happen. Yeah,
That has
and
happened.
yeah. And yeah, so apparently he was very drunk, and so they ordered some food for him to help him sober up a little bit before he left. And then once he left, they didn't hear from him. He didn't show up at work the next day. He wasn't answering any calls or anything like that. And so we are actually like trying to figure out what his last name was, so that we could look him up to see if he'd been arrested.
He
But turned out he came to work the next day after that.
he was just so drunk he was like hung under.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Just fuck.
Yeah, so he no called, no showed, and all that kind of nonsense.
Well, just as a
Not a
public.
good idea, by the way. If you're gonna have a job, don't do that.
Oh yeah,
People don't typically like that.
yeah.
So,
It's usually a bad
but,
thing.
but no, no. I mean, he's a good guy. He's actually watched the show a few times, especially back in our early days.
Gotcha. That gives me some idea. Hey,
Yeah.
so as a public service announcement, we'll just go ahead and put this out there. There have been reports that going to bars could lead to becoming drunk.
Yes,
It's
it can.
this is this is becoming more and more of a thing. You know, it isn't taking off like Tide Pods, but you know, a lot more people are getting drunk at bars these days.
Yeah, it's an epidemic even.
Would you
Like,
consider it an epidemic?
yeah, I mean, you just go there to play pool or play darts or whatever, and then all of a sudden, just drunk
There's
out of
alcohol
nowhere.
everywhere, right?
Yeah, just out of nowhere, you're
It's
just
really
drunk. You're like,
weird.
oh, fuck. And then you owe a lot of money, and it's just it's weird.
Yeah, it's tough that way. Yeah, No, that's that. I could see how that would be a little bit nerve wracking, especially somebody dens of iniquity. There we go. There's
I
our
like that.
resident
Resident
Christian.
moderator.
All right,
And yes, a resident Christian.
he's like, and I mean, alcohol's just asking for it. Look at what it's wearing.
It's
There you
true. It's
go.
like a very
Good job,
attractive
Tinchy.
label.
Good call, Tinchy. There's some humor for us tonight. We can't just rely
Yeah,
on John's face all the time.
that's right.
I like that.
You have
Alcohol's
to have
just
more than one
effortless.
sense of humor.
Yeah, the alcohol that asks for it the most is the one are all the ones that are in the clear bottles. That's the ones. It's
Yeah.
just like, look at me. Look at how
They're just
full
showing, they're
I am
showing
in this
everything.
bottle, right?
They
And
just show everything. Yeah,
look at how
it's
much of
crazy.
this bottle there still is, to drink. It's almost like it's a mix of that like desire, right? And then there's the
Yeah,
responsibility. You can't just leave the bottle half finished, right?
right. I mean,
You've
who
got to
wants to do
help
that?
out. You know, you've got to make the bottle feel complete. It's not complete till it's been smashed against the bottom of a dumpster.
That's right. It hasn't
A
fulfilled its
recycling
purpose.
dumpster. A recycling dumpster.
Of
Thank
course. Yeah,
you.
we're
Yes.
because we're green. See, I even
Right.
have a green beer bottle. It's green. We're green.
Oh my God.
Mm.
Green beer bottles are not green, John.
Yeah,
God.
it
No.
even has a little recycle symbol on the bottom. I'll show you when it's not full
The
or not.
only
Once it's
reason
empty.
those aren't called out more for the environment is because you can't see them at the bottom of the ocean very well.
Yeah, they're camouflage. They blend in.
But there's
It's more,
baby fish
more
that get
eco-friendly.
there's fish that swim in there and then they grow too big to get out, and then you just think about it, John.
You know,
Think
maybe they should evolve to be able to get out of the bottle.
there's that.
Or you could, or crabs or other kind of what are those called? Crustaceans.
Well,
Can find a home
who else,
inside the beer bottle
who else is going to build the ships, John? The ships.
that go in the bottle.
Yeah.
These bottles are too small. You need a bigger bottle.
No, you just put a smaller ship. Those are for, those are for like canoes and stuff.
Canoes.
That's the only thing you can fit down in there. Is a canoe.
Right. I never understood people who could do that, build model ships inside of a.
John, you understand how that works, don't you?
No, I have no idea. I honestly don't.
The bottom of the bottle comes off, John. They
Oh,
built the
does it?
ship and then they slide it into the bottom.
Oh, that's
through the
cheating.
bottom. Yeah, duh.
That's cheating.
Yeah.
That's cheating. That's
Yeah.
so fucking stupid. Oh my god. You know what? I don't even have respect for them anymore. I mean, if you're gonna be a real man, you would go in with a pair of tweezers inside the bottle to place each and every piece. And if it falls off, you're fucked. It's time to start a new one.
John,
Smash the bottle. New
they're
one.
they're not crying from your lack of respect. You don't respect anybody anyway. So there you have it, folks. There's the truth of the matter. So John, you want to talk about some stuff?
Sure, yeah. Let's talk
All right.
about things.
So
stuff.
before we bullshit, Robert, you build them with tweezers and glue.
See, I told
I
you.
understand that's what you think.
I told you.
But who has a fucking 12-inch pair of tweezers? I mean, seriously.
Surgeons might.
Look into it.
They also have the steady hand to do something like that.
A lot of those bottles are cheats. Asians can build them in those bottles.
Wow.
They're very crafty. Have you ever seen those little cities they carve out of cork? I mean, come on.
No, I haven't.
I'd actually love a ship in a Captain Morgan's Black Spice bottle. That'd be cool as shit. But if the bottle's black, how are you going to see it?
Well, the bottle isn't black. God.
I know, John. Thanks.
Asians can write on rice. Yeah.
They
that's-
can.
that's
I don't know
ridiculous.
how they do it, but they do. But anyway, so John, let's. There's something I wanted to hit on first, and this is kind of a nostalgia thing for me. But there is, and there's been like 2 or 3 articles about this. Surprisingly, one of them came out of Canada I'm just like, what the fuck do you have to say about anything happening in America, especially about this topic, Canada? But are you familiar with Orange County in California? They have John Wayne Airport.
Mm.
Are you familiar with that?
John Wayne Gacy Airport. Yeah.
No, not John Wayne Gacy. Are you even familiar with who John Wayne is? Have you
Yes,
ever
I'm
watched one of
familiar.
his movies?
I believe so. My grandpa was a big fan, so I'm sure I've seen at least one or two.
Actually, like a lot of his World War II movies, you would probably enjoy. because he did a lot of World War II movies, the Green Berets and this, that, and the other. He did some he did some where he was on the water. He did some on land. You know,
Right.
he hit all the branches, Marines, whatever. But so they want to change the name of the airport. They're calling for them to change the name of the airport.
Right.
Um,
Naturally, as you would.
and it's the reason behind why they want to change it. They want to change the name of the airport because John Wayne's ideology at that time is not PC for today.
Yeah.
And I about shit my pants. I'm like, okay, John Wayne, he's an icon, right? He's an icon from Hollywood, etc. And but it comes out, that John Wayne was very much a product of his generation of the times, right? Because they have
It's not acceptable.
They've resurrected some some interviews that he did with Playboy, but he had some things to say about homosexuals and race that were very specific for the time, right? We're talking back in the 60s, 70s, right?
We're very progressive for the times.
Right. So, for instance, his opinion on gay people. Movies were once made for the whole family. Now, with the kind of junk the studios are cranking out, I'm quite sure that within 2 or 3 years, Americans will be completely fed up with these perverted films. And they asked him, what kind of films do you consider perverted? And he said, Easy Rider, Midnight Cowboy, that kind of thing. Wouldn't you say that The Wonderful Love of These Two Men in Midnight Cowboy, a story about fags, qualifies? Okay, so right? Okay, so that's John Wayne, right? And then about black people. With a lot of blacks, there's quite a bit of resentment along with their dissent, and possibly rightfully so. But we can't all of a sudden get down on our knees and turn everything over to the leadership of the blacks. I believe in white supremacy until the blacks are educated enough.
Shit.
Are educated to a point of responsibility. I don't believe in giving authority and positions of leadership and judgment to irresponsible people.
God.
They ask, are you equipped to judge which blacks are irresponsible and which of their leaders inexperienced? He says, it's not my judgment. The academic community has developed certain tests that determine whether the blacks are sufficiently equipped scholastically. But some blacks have tried to force the issue and enter college when they haven't passed the tests and don't have the requisite background. But if they aren't accidentally ready for that step, I don't think they should be allowed in. Otherwise, the academic society is brought down to the lowest common denominator. What good would it do to register anybody in a class of higher algebra or calculus if they haven't learned to count? There has to be a standard. And then they ask him about one more group.
Oh no.
For years, American Indians have played an important, if subordinate, role in your westerns. Do you feel any empathy with them? I don't feel we did wrong in taking this great country away from them, if that's what you're asking. Or so-called stealing of this country from them was just a matter, our so-called stealing of this country from them was just a matter of survival. There were great numbers of people who needed new land, and the Indians were selfishly trying to keep it for themselves.
God damn.
Says, how do you feel about the government grant for a university and cultural center that these Indians that were, at the time they were encamped on Alcatraz Island, they have demanded as reparations? What happened between their forefathers and our forefathers is so far back, right, wrong, or indifferent, that I don't see why we owe them anything. I don't know why the government should give them something that it wouldn't give me. They ask him about advantages and opportunities, and he's like, I'm not going to give you one of these. I was a poor boy, and I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. But he says, but you can't whine and bellyache because somebody else got a good break and you didn't, like these Indians are. We'll all be on a reservation soon if the socialists keep subsidizing groups like them with our tax money.
That's right. We will. We'll be on our own reservations.
So
segregation will return under socialism.
So this gave me a whole different take on John Wayne. But again, I have to look at the time, right?
Yeah.
But this is this brought to mind. This is another example of how somebody's ideology 30, 40, 50, what is this, almost 60 years ago, determines who they are now. Now, granted, John Wayne's dead. But if
Yeah.
John Wayne were still alive today, would he still hold on to that same ideology? Would he
Oh, don't
still
worry.
think the
Don't.
same way, or would he have evolved, yet we would still hold
Yeah.
it against him?
Don't worry. They're gonna resurrect his corpse and make it apologize. It's gonna happen.
What does
You just
Tinchy
wait.
say?
Too
Too
bad he
bad he
didn't
didn't
have
have.
23andMe. I'm sure he'd be surprised by something in his family history.
Definitely, definitely.
And also, I want to point out while we're reading the chat, we have Steven Ignoramus in the chat at the moment.
What's up,
What's up,
Stephen
man?
Ignoramus?
He's actually going to be on our show on Monday. It's just been confirmed, like moments ago.
No way.
Yeah, so
That is
look
like
forward to that.
so totally cool, John. I really,
Yeah,
really like it.
yeah, it's going to be fun.
Gag me with a spoon.
Oh fuck. Maybe later,
Um,
off camera. Off camera. YouTube wouldn't like that.
So the only other interesting thing took away from this, though, it's like, okay, you change the airport because you want to give it updated or whatever. I mean, John Wayne was an icon in this country because of who he was from a film standpoint, etc. And surprisingly enough, the weird contribution he made to the war effort. Because little did I know, he never served in the military, no matter all the movies he made about the military. He
Oh well,
actually
yeah.
deferred initially because he had four kids and a wife.
Mm,
Then he wound up uh, screwing around and his wife leaving him for Dietrich, and turn around, and he wanted to go in, but apparently the confirmation for him to go in was sent to his ex-wife, so he never got his hands on it because they believe she didn't want his money going away if he died, right? So he wound up not going into the military, but they say that he did a lot because of his movies, kept the war effort going at the time because he was doing a lot of military movies then. But anyway, so I don't know, John. Is that a good reason to change the name of the airport?
well, it depends. You said the airport's in Canada. Where was
No,
it
no,
in
no. This
Canada?
is this is Orange County, California. It's Los Angeles.
Oh, I thought you said it was Canada. What the
No,
fuck?
no, it's in
Oh.
Orange County. No, Canada wrote an article about this. They wrote about this too, and I'm
Oh.
like, stay the fuck out of this, Canada. This has nothing to do with you. Or
Gotcha.
wherever Orange County. I think LA is in Orange County, but I don't think it's LAX. It's Orange County, the airport in Orange County. But anyway,
Well, we also
I know.
got Michael. We got Michael Vega in the chat now. He
What's
called
up,
us
Michael Vega?
called us figs.
Is that like furry eggs? Is that what that
I think
is?
so.
Like
Something like
the
that.
embryos are just getting to the point they're starting to develop feathers when you crack the egg open to eat it? Is that a
Maybe.
feg? Is that what a feg is?
We'll have to ask him, I guess.
Yeah, but and Titchy's like, if you want to change the name, just change it. No need to make noise about why. Um, and I get that you're correct about his relevance in the world, but this is definitely jumping on the SJW bandwagon.
Oh yeah.
To determine the reason for changing the name. It's like, okay, you're butthurt about a dead guy who was very popular, but yes, his relevance. A lot of people are like, who was John Wayne? Um,
Yeah.
Oh, I know what the code was, Michael Vega. I was just trying
Yeah,
to.
yeah. We're we were being sarcastic, I assume.
We know what we are, sir. We know what we are.
Right. We don't need you to tell us what
Right.
we are.
We don't
Okay.
need your labels. We can do it ourselves.
That's
All
right.
So anyway, so there's that, John. I just wanted to put that out there. I felt bad. Part of me feels bad because I grew up with John Wayne and he was the Duke, right? He was real.
But midget B though, it just did.
It
Just
seriously
saying.
won't let me call them flaming faggots. No, it won't let you call us flaming faggots, will it?
No,
Wait
apparently
a
not.
minute. Wait, that's the difference between Top Chat and Live Chat, isn't it? Top Chat will
Uh,
edit that out,
I mean, I'm on Top Chat actually, so that's weird.
right?
I don't know. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. I need to change it, but yeah, it showed up
Thanks,
still.
thanks, Michael Vega. You can never tell with the boomer. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. He doesn't really get humor.
All right, so moving into something else controversial. in my
What?
opinion, is the Jesse Smollett situation still ongoing. New turns and new changes to that. He was arrested yesterday, right, for making false accusations to the police, right, filing a false
Hmm.
report.
Yeah, I heard
Um,
something about that.
huh?
I think I heard something about that once in the
Yeah,
news this week.
they tried to get him out on his own recognizance. The judge told him, and I'm paraphrasing here. I'm going to paraphrase. His African American judge told him that he was a piece of fucking shit for putting a noose around his goddamn neck. He said
Fucking A.
that was a piece of shit move you pulled right there, pal.
Yeah, it
Hundred
was.
$100,000 bond,
Yeah,
and
which you
you'll
can
be
do
fucking
after 2 episodes. You can make
right.
that bond.
Well, it's 10,000. He had 10,000 like that because you only have to come up with the 10%.
Oh, right, right, right. But I'm saying he can pay it back after 2 episodes. He's making like 60 grand an episode,
But
so
the
I think he'll be all right.
apparently, did y'all talk about the Berkeley thing? Is there?
What happened to Berkeley? Oh yeah, yeah. Some dude got in a fight. I think it was like the Turning Point USA guys got into a fight with some Antifa fucks. I think. I don't know. I didn't really see the story. I just kind of like scrolled past it, but I did see something like that.
Doesn't everybody get in fights with Antifa fucks? Isn't that why you invite them? So you have somebody to
Right. That's the
fight?
whole point of having them around. Yeah.
All right, but anyway, we'll check into that. Why don't you check into that? Not a fight, dude. It was a sucker punch. Like,
Yeah.
was it a
Maybe that's what happened. I don't know.
was it a blow pop? Was it
Did
a
they pour?
Tootsie
Did
Roll
they pour
pop?
bleach on him? Did they pour bleach on him and put a noose around his neck too? Or like what? Oh, here we got a link.
Yeah, go look at
Link.
the link. They are interrupting the show, John. You're letting chat interrupt the show. We are in the middle of
Yeah.
a very deep and pressing social issue
I'm
right
sorry.
now. Good
Let's
God,
continue.
John. No, seriously, is it something? Is it something real? Is it scary?
I mean, it's real, but it's not like I don't think it's anything
Is
important.
this
It's
like is
just,
this like breaking news?
it's just no, but it's just Antifa being Antifa. I mean, the
But
chat wants to talk about it.
who got
So,
punched?
some Turning Point USA guy.
Uh,
Yeah,
do we know what? Do I know what Turning Point USA is? I am
I
a
don't.
boomer after all.
It's true. Yeah, it's some like right wing, like free speech advocacy group and
Well,
like right wing
but
policy
isn't
advocacy.
Antifa the same? Their Antifa is free speech, right? For the
Good
for themselves,
one. Good one.
free speech for themselves.
No, not even for
They want.
themselves.
They don't even want free speech for themselves, huh?
No, because they eat their own. That's what the left does. They eat their own. You can only say anything you want as long as it's to someone of a different ideology.
Gotcha.
But as soon as you start saying something, that might be outside the ideological line, you're done. That's it.
All right.
Now the bike clock is on your head.
Just to wrap up on Jesse Smollett. So he came out and he apologized to his cast and crew, but he and his lawyers are still maintaining his innocence. No matter the evidence they're piling up, they're maintaining his innocence. And his attorney said this: like any other citizen, Mr. Smollett enjoys the presumption of innocence, particularly when there's been an investigation like this one where information, both true and false, has been repeatedly leaked. Given these circumstances, we intend to conduct a thorough investigation and to mount an aggressive defense. Uh, so the question here is: isn't during an investigation, like when there's breaking news and there's an ongoing situation, don't they usually give regular updates of what they found out thus far? In
Oh
most
yeah.
investigations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So would we say that's leaking it? Or is it only leaking it when it's
That's not
Jesse
leaking it.
Smollett?
No, it's not. It's only leaking it when it's not supposed to go out.
All right. Midget.
Midget, come on.
Midget,
You're
you
not
need
supposed
to
say
you
those
need to
things.
self-monitor. Self-monitor,
You need to ban yourself now.
right? Self-monitor. Hit backspace like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 times. Politically motivated violence almost sounds like terrorism. So
No, no,
this
no,
is
no. It's only terrorism when we do it. He deleted his own comment.
thank you very
Midget
much.
B. I'm just kidding. You didn't need to delete it. Oh well.
No, he is. We'll let the deletion stand. Thank you.
It's just funny.
It's messing with
um,
my boomer sensibilities.
no, we didn't do it, Michael Vega. That was him. He did that to himself. We did not do that. I promise.
We made him a moderator because we knew someone would need to moderate him.
That's right. Yeah.
But so this is just this is the kind of shit, and they said it's because he wasn't pleased with his current pay, his standing on the show, that kind of thing. The whole thing.
Yeah.
He needed the publicity. He needed to get his recognition up. He needed to get more money. He didn't like it, but it looks like they're pulling him from the show. So the first thing that came out last week when it first happened, Fox said the idea that Jussie Smollett has been or would be written off of Empire is patently ridiculous. He remains a core player in this very successful series, and we continue to stand behind him. Then Thursday, we understand the seriousness of this matter, and we respect the legal process. We are evaluating the situation and considering our options. But he wasn't at shooting today. He was not at the shooting for the show today. So
That's funny. Yeah, he's pretty fun. I mean, he'll be back in like a year, and then he'll be. I put this out on Twitter earlier. Actually, what's going to happen with him is, he's going to go to jail or have probation or whatever. They're going to write him off the show, but they're not going to kill him off. Right? They're just going to have him go on like a long trip. And then, like a year from now, when this is all blown over, they're going to kind of write him back in if the show's still around.
So, when does this become a hate crime?
It doesn't.
How is this not considered inciting violence?
Because black men can't be hateful towards anyone else.
No, seriously. Why?
Being serious.
Why,
That's not something that's in the legal precedent. It can't be.
It's not right. So you can't use that that doesn't hold any water.
Right.
But there's not this is the time to create that legal precedence, because as this meme shows, this is happening a lot. The meme that somebody posted in Generational Gap, right? All these hate crimes that are just fucking hoaxes. And
that was our own Midget B, in fact, who posted that.
The midget put it there. It's amazing how many of these are ongoing, how long these have been happening over the last few years, or how much of them have been happening just over and over again, people faking this shit. And yet we have to ask ourselves, what's keeping racism alive? I don't know.
Hoaxes.
Fake hate crimes. When do we start making fake hate criming a fucking felony and put people's asses in jail for it?
My favorite Jussie Smollett meme was, when America is so great, you have to hire your own oppressors. I thought that was pretty great. There's that one, and I mean, you can go on, I think it's fakehatecrimes.org or .com or something like that, and there's like a whole list of all the different hate crimes, hoax hate crimes that have been happening through the last few years. And I mean, it's pretty crazy.
I would put it out there that these kind of things, these incidents, are going to serve to desensitize us more and more from actual hate crimes that do go on.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, some black guy's going to get lynched in Alabama, and everybody's going to go, he's faking it.
Yeah.
Pull him down. He's probably faking
it. Smack him around a little bit, see if he's all right.
Right.
God damn.
He's using some Swahili mind trick where he's slowing his heart rate down and,
Wow.
hanging from the tree. He wasn't really hung. That's the kind of mindset people are going to start having.
Oh
What the fuck
no,
difference
no,
does
no.
a real hate crime make?
The stereotypes are true. He was hung, just not in the way you were thinking.
Yeah, crickets. Uh,
Would have been funny if I had the right timing, but then you kept going, you
it's
kept
all
talking.
about timing, isn't it, John?
Yeah, you don't give me the chance, man.
But I don't. I don't know. I think that they should. I think they should amp this up. This is the perfect opportunity to set an example. This thing was so publicized. The attack was so publicized. The bullshit social outcry from it, and this is and this is what a lot of articles are kind of pointing to. He's not facing. He's not going to. It's the worst is not facing a judge in court. It's the court of public opinion that he now has to deal with. He is fucking tainted. I mean, I can't necessarily see Fox pulling him back in, even after all this dies down, even after he serves, if any, time. I can't see them pulling it back in, especially if it continues to deny everything that happened. I mean, this idea that you're going to pretend that this is... How can you continue doing that? We know that there were texts. He wrote a fucking check, John. He wrote a fucking check for the money. A check.
Which is funny. Another meme I saw was like a picture of a check, and then like it said, $3,500 to those guys, and then in the memo section it said for the hate crime.
Right?
Yeah.
Who writes a fucking check for that kind of shit?
Right.
Oh my God. And I mean, so I'm just like, okay, so how intelligent is this guy actually to be a fucking... I guess you don't have to be terribly smart to be an actor. He was probably trying to chew him with a check. Nice.
If he was smart, he would have used a burner phone and would have paid him in cash.
Yeah, I don't understand. I just don't get it. I mean, it was bad enough with just the stupid openings in his original story.
Yeah.
But now when all the shit's coming out, and so, again, this is one of those. This one is actually helping to weaponize the MAGA hat.
Oh my God.
Kid there was an article. Kid was stopped from wearing his MAGA hat at school. It has now become a symbol that is as bad as wearing a fucking swastika. You can't wear this around here because it's going to incite issues. It's going to start problems.
Yeah.
And these kind of things, that does it.
So to be fair, though, when I was in school, I wasn't allowed to wear a hat. Like, we weren't allowed to wear hats in school. I don't know. Maybe that's changed.
You can wear anything in schools these days, John. You can get away with all sorts of shit. Post-dated for after the attack, the check.
Yeah.
Times have changed, kids. Yeah, Tenchi, times have changed.
Tenchi's saying the same thing. I remember that, too. You couldn't wear any hats in school.
But
the only time I could was when I went to military school, and that was only outdoors. You always had to take your hat off when you go inside.
But you weren't as much of the coddled generation as we currently have going on right now. The coddling that's happening these days is phenomenal. And it's happening in schools. It's happening everywhere. It's just sad, John.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's like we coddle these fucking actors who want to get beat up on the street outside the subway.
Like, he really wanted to get beaten up.
Because he didn't get enough in his contract. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny that the demand for hate just like far exceeds the supply. Like, there's just so much so that they have to make it up.
Tenchi, I refuse to believe that any of my raising is coddling. I still believe in spanking my children. I'm just not allowed to. See, there's the thing. There's the problem. It's what you're allowed to do. It's what you're allowed to do in raising children these days, and it's sad. Yeah. So there's Jussie Smollett, and all his fun bullshit. I can't wait to see how this turns out because if he has an African American judge, if this same judge tries the case,
Yeah.
I want to see. I might even watch that on court TV. I'll get court TV just to watch that, just so I can
Pay
hear
them.
this judge mock.
You probably get like a 30-day free trial or something
Yeah.
for for whatever subscription service it uses.
Oh, they'll try and drag this fucking thing out like the OJ trial.
I don't know if it's that big. He didn't murder anyone. He just faked the attempt on his own life.
If the noose don't fit, you must acquit.
Jesus.
Here, Jesse, go ahead, show him. Try and put this noose around your neck. See, I can't do it myself. Somebody else.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, when OJ had the glove and he's all like, "Oh, why won't it fit? Oh,
Yeah,
I can't
why
make it
can't
fit."
I put my deformed claw in this normal glove?
Oh god, that was such a farce.
Right. Hey, so let's talk politics for a minute, John.
No, I don't like talking politics.
I wanted to talk to you about Bernie
scared.
for a minute. I wanted to talk to you about Bernie because a couple of things.
Feel the burn. Feel the burn.
Hey, so Bernie's jumped into the race, right? They said he's announced his candidate, his run for the race. So of course, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to destroy him, right? Because Bernie's a target, right? Because Bernie is a strong contender now that the status quo is not running against him, right? Mm-hmm. Like in the field that's going to be put out there, he's going to be the strongest contender. So
he's certainly the most well-known name that's out there,
right?
But the problem is he's not the most intersectional. So,
well,
I don't know. He's only got one intersection, and that's kind of the left isn't all that fond of Jews. You know, they're not a big fan of the Jews.
Well, the Dems have come out. Some Dems have come out today and said that he is not going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party. And the reason why is because he did not take a strong enough stance against Maduro in Venezuela. So everyone has been coming out vigorously, right? And they're saying Maduro is a dictator. He's bad, bad, bad. And they want what is his name? Guido? Not Guido. How do you pronounce
Guido?
Guido. Is it Guido?
I don't fucking know.
Guido is the other contender for this.
Yeah,
right?
the one who's supposed to be president right now, or whatever their thing is.
Right. So Bernie, when he was asked about this, apparently he didn't toe the party line and say the right words for the Democrats. Right.
Right.
Because his opinion about Maduro was this. They asked him first about, he didn't come out and take a real strong stance about Maduro. They asked him about Guaido, and they said, how would you recognize Guaido as the legitimate leader of the country? And Sanders said no. And the reason he said no, he said there are serious questions about the recent election, which there are. A lot of people are saying the election was fraudulent. And that's people in Venezuela, right? And he says there are many people who feel it was a fraudulent election. So, so we have to question the entire election, right? You can't just say, okay, the election was fraudulent only because of this one person. Whoever else was in it wins, right? That's what he's saying. But in a follow-up question, he was asked if he thought Maduro is a dictator who should step down. And he said, I think clearly he has been very, very abusive. He said that is a decision of the Venezuelan people. So I think, Jorge, there's got to be a free and fair election. But what must not happen is the United States must not use military force and intervene again as it has done in the past in Latin America, as you recall, whether it was Chile or Brazil or the Dominican Republic or Guatemala. Dominican Republic.
And so
this bothered people. one spokesperson from one lady from Miami. She's very strong in Venezuela. She's a senator, a Republican representative, and she was confused by it. She's like, "But this is, about the international community needs to come together, and we need to work with the international community." She said, "But that's what we've been doing." And one of his deputy chief of staff came out and replied to that and said, "This view represents the long and horrific history of American politicians imposing their will on the people of Latin America. Bernie stands with the Venezuelan people to demand free and fair elections and for self-determination for all people around the world." And he also pointed out that Sanders has, in the past, condemned Maduro for what he's doing. So, is it too much? Is that not enough? I mean, is it seriously not enough?
Shit.
Is it too on the fence that I'm seeing there for him to say that the
Shit,
Venezuelans?
yeah, I hate to agree with Bernie Sanders, but I do. I mean, it's not our business,
Right, we
and
should
I
stay
mean,
the fuck out of
yeah,
their
I mean,
politics, right? We can
god
send them
damn it,
aid. I don't mind sending aid, right?
no, fuck that.
And
We don't need to
denouncing a leader. I mean, that's part of being part of the United
denouncing
Nations.
a leader. Yes, yeah, and let the United Nations send them aid.
Well, we're part of the United Nations, so that kind of
Yes,
means
but
we
we
have
don't
to
need to.
help with that.
Well, that comes with our,
Whatever our portion
yearly
should
payment or
be.
whatever, however often we pay. I don't know what the subscription cycle is for UN, but
Well, unfortunately,
however often we pay.
this requires manpower as well. So, we've got to get the aid to them, which apparently there has been stoppage there, which I'll talk about in a minute. So he's right. We need to stay out of there from a political standpoint, right? And militarily, most of all, militarily. We go in too often and we're like, oh, we're going to come in and help you set up your fucking democracy. Here's how
That's
we
right.
did it.
We're going to force you to have democracy. You have no choice but to have democracy. Did you see that one like shitty video that the Venezuelan government put out? Like it was like the military training to like scare U.S. Marines or U.S. soldiers
Yes, I
that were,
remember something about, yeah.
Oh my god, that was so cringy. Like, if you haven't seen it, go check it out, guys. It's really, really funny. I'm not sure what to search for. I guess you just search for like, you know, uh, Venezuela military scares U.S. or something like that. But it's really funny,
Well,
really cringy.
so I'm worried that this is going to put Sanders on the spot, and it's going to force him to, this is kind of going to fall into that category of an apology. Like if, I'm sorry, I didn't say strong enough words. Let me toe the party line and say the words the right way. And the reason
Yeah.
I think he will capitulate on this, or he might, and start, because he got fucked the last time by the
Well,
DNC.
that's what I'm saying. But at the same time, if he does do that, he's gonna lose all the support that he, has gained since he started. 'Cause he lost a lot of support in the last election when he, you know, uh, like shilled out for Hillary and endorsed her and all that.
Well,
And a lot of people who supported him didn't like that and stopped supporting him, myself included. And that's when he lost a ton of support. And so, if he's to do that again this time around, no one's going to give him a second chance.
well, let me ask
Like
you
as soon as
this.
he capitulates to the DNC, he's done.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, they're pretty much telling him he's not going to be the candidate because of
Oh
this,
well,
right?
yeah,
Okay. So now the real question is this: Bernie runs alongside everybody else, and if in the primaries he gets the most votes, can the DNC still choose not to have him as their candidate because of some stupid shit like this?
probably. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I'm sure that they can pick whoever they want, regardless of the votes.
Would that not be the end of the Democratic Party
Uh,
ultimately? I mean,
Unfortunately, probably not.
because that really goes against the will of the people. I would
Yeah,
walk away from the Democratic Party because of that.
but they're authoritarian, so the will of the people is irrelevant.
They scammed him once. they fucked him over one time, and now they're just
Mm-hmm.
blatantly telling him well before the primaries, we're going to fuck you again. Are you prepared to be fucked? Get your
Yeah,
Vaseline. We're going to fuck you again.
that's right. Get
Um,
ready this time.
because it was the you know originally it's all about the socialism, right, and communism that he's supposedly such a big fan of. And one of the things that they've pointed out about him, this is another article that popped up where something that he said was kind of taken out of context, and is basically they're saying he was praising bread lines and food rationing.
Oh yeah, I remember
Okay,
that one. That was a
but
meme.
he
Like he did say those
well,
words, but it was taken out
but
of
here's the,
context. Yeah.
yeah, it was purely out of context. It's funny sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing, he said,
Yeah.
because in other countries, people don't line up for food. Rich people get the food and poor people starve to
Yeah.
death. Now, that is not telling me that food lines are great. What that's telling me
No.
is, fuck you, America. You do it a different way. This is how we do it. The rich people have the food, and the poor people take what they can get or starve to death. Because that's how it is here in America.
No, it's not.
Sure, it is. Our poor.
Yeah.
How many poor?
They
Like
don't get.
we have
They
people
don't get.
dying,
They don't get
malnourished
EBT.
children. We have
That's
malnourished
because of
population.
neglect.
Just neglect.
Because
It's
of
not
neglect.
because of money. What about homeless people that don't have food? They starve to
They
death
can get
often.
EBT.
All right.
Everyone is eligible for EBT.
Okay. So the socialist programs that everybody complains about Bernie with are what people should use to keep from starving to death.
Okay, while it's there, yes.
Gotcha. And that
Yeah.
makes sense, right? So
You should use it if
this
it's
is
there
him. This
for
is
you.
but
Yes.
but this is them taking this and saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
Bernie's a
No, I
communist."
understand. Yeah, I
You know,
understand that. Yeah, it's taken out of context, and that is unfortunate because you really don't need to take anyone out of context in order to make them sound stupid. You just let them speak.
and
They'll show it themselves.
this is what this is what is bothering me now. Is this trend that we are specifically flying right into, where we take either this out of context and warp it into a new message to damn
Hmm.
him, or we take what he says and twist the context to where he's not actually making a point, he's just
Hmm.
not saying the right words. His context is fucks because he's not saying the right things. He's not saying
Hmm.
what you, the American people, need to hear from us. That's fucked
Now,
up. And that's gonna,
Are you saying that? Are you saying that Democrats put that out as him saying that?
as
Because
him
that's an
saying what?
old meme.
No, no, no.
That's an old
What they're
meme.
talking about is, they're regurgitating this. The
Mm,
footage
they're
shows
bringing it back
now
up.
presidential candidate praising breadlines in communist nations. And look who it is. It's Fox
Fox
News.
News, right?
Right, I should have prefaced with this. This is Fox News trying to ditch him now that he's announced his campaign.
Well, I mean, they don't. They wouldn't have liked him anyway.
No, I understand that, but
I mean,
these
yeah,
kind of things. So now the key thing is to go back in somebody's past and regurgitate everything they did in the past to show why they're not relevant for today, why they're not PC
yeah.
enough, why they're not in tune with today's audience, because nobody else evolves. Nobody evolves in their ideology and the way they look at things. Now, it's not to say he doesn't want socialist programs, which, you agree with some of them. I think deep down inside, don't you?
Not necessarily. I mean, as it stands now, it's necessary, but I don't think that it's ultimately necessary, and it's certainly not sustainable long term.
I'll tell you the one program that he talked about in the 2016 run that I'm fully behind is first 2 years of college free. I
Hmm.
think that is a highly relevant thing to do. Pass or fail, still make it pass or fail, but first 2 years of college free. We need a college educated society, and we need people that wouldn't normally go to college to get the
Well,
opportunity to go for at least 2 years and potentially open up doors that will make this country better.
I don't know. With the nature of universities and even now high schools, I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, it would be on the community college level.
Yeah,
I don't think
of course.
community colleges are they being hit as bad with the
Oh
SJW bug
yeah,
as everybody else.
oh yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah,
still, college
absolutely.
education for everybody. I'm behind that. I am behind some education for everybody. This,
Yeah.
you don't have to go. It's just make it available. That's also 2 years worth of fucking student loans people wouldn't have to go in debt for the rest of their life. You know,
Well, no, everyone else has to.
we're already going in debt consistently with everything else. But
Right. So let's
he
just
has ways
do
to
more.
pay for it. He has ways to pay for it. He's not an idiot, right?
He's not an idiot, no, but
No.
the way that he wants to pay for it, well, like I said, it's not sustainable long term. It'll be great while he's pregnant, while he's president. It'll be
While he's
awesome.
pregnant, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
that
While he's
Freudian
pregnant,
slip.
yeah, yeah. While he's president, yeah, it'll
He's
be there. But
Bernie
then
babies. He's Bernie
little
baby.
Bernie babies,
Bernie
little Bernie
babies.
bros running around.
Ooh, it would be Bernie babies. They would be selling on eBay 15 years from now for thousands of dollars. Bernie babies.
Bernie
We
babies.
should start that. They'd
Is that
just be all
like
sorts of
Beanie
different.
Babies?
Yeah, be all sorts of different like beanie babies, but they would all have like crazy white hair and glasses.
Purple
No,
hair,
white. It's
and
got to be.
thick.
Is his kind of purplish to you? Is that what you see? I
No,
just see
not
the.
his hair. I'm saying like we have to put like little SJWs being, Bernie babies. And so like they got like the purple hair and the pink
No.
hair and the blue hair and
No,
they're
no, no,
like
no.
massive.
You gotta make Bernie babies, and they all have crazy white hair. It could be a goat, it could be a frog, whatever, and glasses. And like you could have like I don't know, like a little Bernie ladybug, and she's walking around with a block of government cheese, right? I mean, that's, you get the sense of Bernie there, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Bernie babies, it's a thing. But
That would be
yeah,
great.
so I already don't like the direction this campaign is going to take. It's just going to be,
Yeah.
it's going to, there, used to in a presidential campaign, you didn't start slinging the mud till well into the depth of the campaign when it was like, okay,
Nope.
we can't talk about policies anymore. Now I got to make my one, it was after the primaries. Then you saw the mud slinging, right?
hmm
But now it's just like coming out of the fucking chutes dirty.
It's before they even like, oh, this person might run. Hit him now.
Hmm.
Before they can even announce. No, I think it's going to be Kamala Harris is going to be the nominee. I really think that's where they're going with it. They've already decided.
So yeah, they busted his balls about Venezuela, and this is it's not like this is a good situation down there, but I do think that we need to stay out militarily. We were talking about aid, and even baby Danger Baby pointed this out. The aid that has made it there. We're trying to get it across. They're coming across. They're killing. They're firing on people in this kind of thing because they don't want the aid. Maduro's people don't want the aid coming into the country and helping his people at all.
Mm.
And it's just like, fuck. Okay, so now he's going to start shooting folks up. So apparently Guaido has got a caravan. He's moving that way. He's going to where the aid is supposed to be coming in to try and facilitate making this happen, which, in my opinion, is just going to spark off a fucking conflict. I have a feeling there's going to be a
Yeah,
serious conflict
a
going with,
civil war.
yeah, and then and unfortunately, I worry in my heart of hearts that this is going to prompt the Orange Man to step in militarily.
I don't know. I doubt it. He hasn't seemed very interventionalist lately, especially with us getting out of Syria.
But with all of with what this military action in this situation would be a feather in his hat. I mean, they're already saying that Bernie Sanders not taking a strong enough stance on Maduro and not offering enough support to Guaido is playing into Trump's hand and making the election easier for Trump. I'm like,
I don't know.
we're not even there yet, but they're saying this makes it easier for him because this is a presidential candidate who's not speaking the message that the Democratic Party wants people saying about this situation. So,
Mm.
they're saying he's helping Trump by not talking the talk, which means that makes it that's going to up the priority for Trump to get physically involved in stopping a conflict should it arise. To me, that's what I think would happen. Do you think he could actually stay out of it with the
I think he
benefits?
can. I think he can because you can just let the left eat itself up, bickering over it, and then he can just not deal with it. Talk about something else.
But he does stand to gain a lot from it. Um,
I
ultimately,
don't know. I don't know if his base really wants him to, intervene in Venezuela. I don't know if that's a good idea.
and
I don't know.
and it's these little things, right? So there's another thing that could happen that, when these tensions are rising, when there's conflict going on, that could prompt him. And odd as it may sound, there are states out there right now, New Jersey particularly, their Senate just passed a bill um, that are going to put his back against the wall because New Jersey has just passed a bill that says that presidential candidate can't get on the ballot unless he supplies X number of years of tax returns. This is,
Hmm.
and there's like 25 states in the United States that want to put a law like this into effect
Hmm.
and make this happen. So this is going to be another one of those things where he's either going to have to find some way to loophole his way out of it, or it's going to sufficiently put his back up against the wall that he's going to need something like Venezuela to distract and to put him in the better graces of the voters.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder if that's constitutional or not. Weird.
Well, if it's happening at a
I don't
state
know.
a state level, it's the
Yeah.
state constitution. Is the question is he going to call on the administration, the federal administration, to override it
Yeah.
or get the Supreme
Might.
Court to shoot it down? Can he do
Yeah,
that?
'cause I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know what the laws are like with, having to let a candidate on the ballot for each state. Because it's a federal election, right? Like it would make sense that you could do it for a state election or some kind of other local, election. But at the federal level, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know if that's legal.
I guess we'd have to look at what the states' rights are as far as you know if they're forced because it's a federal. It is for the president. They still don't have to be forced to put him on the ballot. I wouldn't think, right? I thought that was. I figured that was something that they had on a state level that they could do. Um, with sources to other cases regarding states' rights over nationwide rights. There's some good discussion on it at Reddit. Well,
At
that's
low
good.
Reddit.
And,
Yeah, there's a link there. We don't have time to, go through it right now,
right.
but
Well,
yeah, we'll keep
technically
that
we
link
we
handy.
do, but we still
Why
have an
you
hour,
must have?
John. But we
Are
know
you out of
how.
topics already?
No, I'm not out of topics,
Okay, good.
but we know how
Jesus
reading
Christ.
we know how reading is for you. So I mean, we have
Yeah,
an
whatever.
hour that could get you through the first paragraph.
You're funny. You're a funny guy.
Um,
But enough about your looks.
so he's consistently fought about having his taxes released. The House is putting a motion forward to have him release his taxes.
Hmm.
Um, so I've got to put the question out there again: is there something that damning that he doesn't want anybody to see it? What would happen if he released his taxes? What would happen to Trump?
Who knows? I don't know. I mean, I've not seen his taxes, so I don't
Um,
know. I'm sure he's taking advantage of loopholes and things that would look bad on him.
I'm just wondering if that's the little flick that would bring his little house of cards down. If it's so important to keep those hidden because that could be what fucks him. But of course, the real question is, are you don't have enough money to hire the best fucking accountants that could make that shit look legitimate?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously he would.
But obviously he
So,
doesn't, or he would have
well,
released
what
his
I'm saying
fucking
is like,
taxes.
what I'm saying is like him taking advantage of all those loopholes and things like that would look bad on him as a politician.
But he's already said he uses the loopholes. Remember when he was in the
Right,
campaign and he was talking about the
right.
bankruptcies?
But saying that he uses it and having the proof on paper, exactly what it is that he's using, those are two totally
Yeah,
different things.
well, but that's what he did with the bankruptcies. All of that stuff was public record
Of course,
for
yeah.
the bankruptcy. So he said this is what I did, and there's a paper trail to show that yeah he did it. So I don't know if he's
And yeah,
using
see, Midget
loopholes.
B's right. I think Midget B's right here. I think at this point it's about the bravado. Yeah, it's about bravado and not capitulating
It's
anything
it's like the birth
to the other
certificate
side.
issue that he never let go,
Right. Well, he did eventually, but
right? But it
yeah,
was a
no, I mean,
stubborn thing, right? It was a stubborn point for him. And so that's what
right.
this is. This is just him being stubborn. I said I wasn't going to release him. I'm still not going to release him. You
Yeah.
know, um, yeah, it goes to character.
Well, he did say that he would release them as soon as Hillary released her email.
Well,
She's yet to do that. So,
Wiki did
I
that.
mean, the deal stands, I'm sure.
WikiLeaks did that for him, though.
Yeah, but she didn't.
Well, you know, well, let WikiLeaks put out his taxes. I'm surprised they haven't got their
Yeah,
hands on him already.
yeah,
But
maybe they don't exist.
speaking of taxes, and this I think is going to prompt the American people. It makes me want to. I want to see them even more when we have tax cuts made last year, and his tax cuts aren't helping Americans so much. Um, People have been finding that these generous tax measures that he put in place last year are actually resulting in lower returns for people. People are getting less money back in their from their taxes than they were before he put these in place. But banks have seen an increase of $28.8 billion that they are turning into profits this year because they're not having to pay them in taxes, which is fucking phenomenal to me, John.
So wait, is it true that people are getting less back on their taxes than before? Because
Yes.
first of all, the taxes aren't due until April 1st. So yes, I understand that people have already done them and gotten their returns back. But we had like how many weeks of the government being shut down and all that kind of nonsense, and the fact that they're not even all in yet.
Right.
I mean, I think it's too early to say anything like that.
So
I
thus
mean, I understand the banks are getting a shitload, but
people are
that's
still,
banks.
remember this, John, people are still filing their taxes. People were filing their taxes while the government was shut down. They're still being filed like
Yeah.
mad, like they always are, because whether the government's shut down or not, the fucking deadline is still there. The government could stay shut down till after the April 15th deadline, and they would still expect you to have your taxes in before that time or pay
Oh yeah.
penalties. They would still
Oh
assess
yeah.
them, right? But so far, as of February 14th, the data released, according to Newsweek, the average tax refund is down by 8.7%.
Oh, see, even Tenchi says he's getting more this year. He's
Now,
surprised.
but
I'm surprised too.
but if I'm not mistaken, Tenchi, you fall into one of the lower tax brackets. Am I correct? You're not hitting, like the $50,000 to $100,000 range, right?
God, just call him out. Why don't you?
Well, I'm just saying that's a very wide range. He may be, and if he is, then
And yeah, Mijibi's right about that. Lower tax return means you've lent the government less money. Yeah.
no. No, because if you file the
Yeah.
taxes the same way 2 years in a row and you get less money back the second year, that means they're keeping more of the taxes you paid in. You pay in the same amount, like pretty much. You're paying in X percentage 2 years in a row. You would expect that the returns are going to be similar. But the tax codes that they put in place last year, the changes they made, were supposed to benefit the middle class and the lower class. Now it seems to be affecting the lower class. I mean, hell, one of my stepdaughters is getting like G's back, 5 G's. But
What?
She's got a new baby.
Oh
She's got a baby.
shit! Oh yeah,
They
you
they
get paid to have babies. I forgot about
they
that.
increase the exemptions. Um, I understand you say they're saying less is being withheld, but did the rate of withholding go down? I don't get check stubs. I'm a 1099 employee. I'm a contract
Yeah,
employee, so I always pay taxes anyway.
yeah, you're gonna pay a
Um,
lot more
but
being a 1099.
so is that what it is? People are not noticing that their withholding was reduced. Is that where the reduction in the tax was,
Yeah, it
as
could be
opposed to
the
you're actually paying
return.
in more? So
Yeah, because you realize the return is like, oh, I'm sorry, we stole too much money from you this year. Let's give you a few back. Let's give you a few bucks back. That's all it is.
So
But they're
then
withholding.
maybe
Yeah,
that it wasn't. If that's the case, then it wasn't explained to the American people in the proper
but they
way
wouldn't. They
because
wouldn't
people
have.
aren't understanding that that's why they're
Right.
not getting as much money back because they're
Yep.
just seeing, oh, I always pay this in. Now we'd have to look at returns and see if their tax that was withheld, how much of a difference there is. So I'll look into that math. Maybe we'll have an update on Monday or next Friday's show, and we'll see. Um, Last year I owed money in due to the ACA. This is Tinchy, so I was shocked to see I would actually get something back. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
um, it's tough. They raised the exemption. I mean, the exemptions, they're pretty stout this year, and especially if you've got a baby. The earned income credit is fucking phenomenal. Have a kid in this country.
Yeah.
Gee, that's what you need to do to get money back.
Yeah.
Have a fucking
You
kid.
have like 4 kids. Get yourself EBT and some Section 8 housing. Hell yeah.
But now there was a
Just
decline.
living off the government.
At that point, there was a decline versus the normal. Normally, by that time, there had been 13. There's 13.5 million tax returns in versus 11.4 million so far at that time. But that stands to reason with the government shut down. There might be a small decline in how many are turned in. But the cuts for big business were pretty big. I mean, banks now get to make an extra $28.8 billion for the year because they're not having to pay it out in taxes. That's just that's harsh to me. That's a lot of fucking money that could do this country some good. I'm just saying, could do this country some good. Infrastructure
Hmm.
much? I don't know. But you think tax is theft anyway, so it doesn't really bother
It
you.
is,
But
it is theft. Taxation is theft. There's no way around it.
well,
I've explained it to you 1,000 times, though. I mean, what else can I say?
well, we did determine that if people are willing to pay the taxes, then it's not theft.
Right.
So,
Because it's voluntary.
I believe taxes are necessary, and I believe people should be willing to pay taxes because that's how you pay for infrastructure. Infrastructure, because you're sure as fuck not going to get it from donations. I mean,
Yeah,
how
okay.
much would you donate to keep your roads nice?
Probably quite a bit. I mean, at least some. Because, I mean, I'd want to drive on them if I want to drive on them. If
Sure. So
want to
you
do it.
would
It's not going to be it's not going to be individual people with like GoFundMe accounts and stuff. What it would be private companies paving roads around them to be which behooves them because you can't get to someone's shop if you can't. There's no road there. That's why Domino's started their whole. I've brought this up on the show before. That's why Domino's started their whole like we're going to go around and pave roads and stuff campaign. It's because their drivers are out there all the time. Their delivery drivers are out there all the time, and they got to pay these people, a small amount to help with like maintenance of the car. And if someone hits a pothole and a tire comes off or an axle is bent, they're out of the game for a little while, and so that causes problems at the store.
So were they donating money to local municipalities, local DOTs and stuff,
No,
or state DOTs?
they were hiring their own contractors to do it. I'm not sure exactly how they
Yeah,
were
you
doing it,
can't
but they
just go
were.
out and build on local roads.
Well, no. I'm sure they had permission and all that kind of nonsense, but I mean, they were doing it. They were doing it with their own money.
Well, sure, you give it to the
Yeah, I'm not.
DOT. The DOT is not going to approve
Maybe,
private companies going out and fucking with their roads. So,
maybe I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's like going to the county and going, "Hey, I'm just going to go do this shit in the county. I'm going to go put down a new road, repave the roads." What? You're going to do
Yeah.
what? It's but
Oh
still,
yeah, no, there's stories of people trying to do that and being told they can't. like filling in potholes themselves, and they're like, no,
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't. It's not legal. There's
Yeah.
you're not allowed to do that, and that's why But my question about Domino's is, okay, are they doing that so they stop paying the money for the that little bit that they're putting in that
No, so
delivery
they have to pay
percentage for the
less.
drivers? No, what I'm saying is, are they so they don't have to pay their drivers that money? They're just making they're writing off some
No,
money into the DOT in local
no,
areas.
I doubt it.
Because I'm assuming
Dude.
that they found a way to write that off as a donation.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure it's a donation. I'm sure they're getting, taxes taken off or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good thing though that they're going out there and taking care of the problems themselves, as opposed to waiting around for the
So
government to do it.
how long ago was this that you heard
Uh,
this?
maybe like 2 years ago.
And is that still going
This
on, or
is.
have we heard
I
anything
have
else
no
about it?
idea.
Because it
I have no idea if
obviously
it's still
didn't
going on.
catch on with everybody
Yeah, I have no
else.
idea.
Because I didn't
Well, I
hear.
know there's a road by me where there's a UPS and a FedEx distribution warehouse like across the street from each other, and they take care of that road
But it's a private road,
that
isn't
goes
it?
out. It's a private road, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't know if yeah. It's got to be a private road, otherwise they wouldn't be allowed to.
Right.
But they take care of that road. They get together. Two competing companies
Uh,
get together to maintain this road so that their trucks, because they have hundreds of trucks each
sure. Yeah.
driving on this road, and they have to deal with their own maintenance costs. And so like, that's my whole point with the Mo Roads argument is that the businesses will take care of those roads if they are forced to, if they need to.
Well, I have difficulty believing that corporations in this country would be willing to even combined, foot the bill for even just road work in this country as a whole. The numbers would be, it'd blow their fucking profits. It would fuck them. Roads are expensive to maintain, and it's
They're
ongoing.
expensive to maintain for the government
And as soon as
because people charge them a lot more than you would be able to charge a savvy private company.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm willing to bet you, if corporations were doing that, you know what you would see a hell of a lot more of? Fucking toll roads.
Probably.
Shit like interstates would become toll roads.
We already have toll roads.
No, I'm saying our interstates, which are not toll roads, would become toll
Well, the
roads.
the interstate system is paid for by the federal government.
Okay, but we're sitting here talking about how we don't want the federal government doing it. We would prefer to
Well,
have
federal
so
governments
that we
don't
don't
do
have to pay
the
taxes
roads.
for that, right?
The federal government doesn't do roads from around here, and I think that the interstate system is a decent idea for
Okay,
the federal government to take care of. I'm not against it.
but the point of it is taxes pay for that.
Yeah.
If we were to get rid of taxes and then rely on corporations and
Oh,
donations
talking
to
about
take
getting
care
rid
of
of.
things that infrastructure has to be paid for with, if we're not
Yeah,
doing it from taxes, well,
I'm not talking about getting rid of all taxes. That's not what my argument is. But
the
I mean,
argument
I know
that
there are
if
people who have that argument, but that's not me.
you've kind of given me the indication that you would like taxes to go away,
No,
outside of the fair tax.
no. Federal income tax, I want to go away. Yes.
Right, but that's what pays for interstates.
No, it really doesn't, though.
Then what does?
I mean, it does, but it only
Right.
sometimes. Only sometimes does it pay for
Only,
that.
only whenever they need to build an interstate or maintain
Only
an
when we're not.
interstate.
Only when we're not invading, Muslim countries because they have a bunch of oil. That's when it pays for it,
It pays
which
for
hasn't
it
been
all
in the
the
past.
time, John. God damn.
No.
I mean, they don't just build them and never put any more
No,
money into
no.
it.
It's actually a separate tax though on the states themselves that pay for the interstate system. It's not the federal income tax.
Well, the federal government funds the interstates. I believe states themselves are tasked with maintenance. Like so.
No, they're given money
Right.
by the federal government every
Yes.
year
Tax
to
money.
pay for maintenance. Yes, but there's
Right.
tax money from the state, not tax money from the people. Which is, of course, the state taxes are taken from the people, but I mean, it's not the federal income tax
But
specifically
if the
that's paying for it.
no, if the federal government gives the state money to maintain interstates, they're
Yes, but
giving
it's
the
not the
state
federal
tax
income
money.
tax.
What do you
It's not the
think it's
federal
coming from?
income.
What the hell
It's
do you
coming
think
from
it's
the
coming from,
states.
John? No. So the states are
The Florida,
paying their state tax to the federal government for the federal government to turn around and give it back to them to maintain the
yes,
interstates.
yes,
Then what's happening to federal income tax, John?
that's going to bomb brown people in countries that we can't pronounce.
Oh, it's not paying for any infrastructure in this country like interstates.
No, that's not where the interstate money comes from.
It comes from states who get it from the
It comes
federal
from the
government
state.
who got it from the states.
Yes, that's exactly
But
how
we
that
don't
works.
have a state income tax here in Florida, so where does the money come
Yes,
from?
our sales tax goes to the state, and then that goes to the federal government.
Okay, our sales tax goes to our county.
Not all of them. There's a state
Your
sales
county sets
tax.
your sales tax.
Yes, and they have to pay money to the state
Okay, and then the state
based on their
takes
sales
that money,
tax
gives it to the
and
federal
gives it to the
government.
federal government, and the
It
government,
doesn't use it for its
federal
own
government.
roads and budget and infrastructure. It gives it to the federal government, and then the federal government says, "Here, take your tax money back and go build the fucking roads."
Yes,
That is not how this process works.
that is exactly how it works. It sounds retarded, I know, because that's because it is, because it is absolutely retarded.
The
That is how
Federal
it works.
Interstate Fund, which does come from federal income tax, like Tinchy's saying. Because my guess is he's sitting there looking this shit up. That's what I'm loving about him lately, is looking shit up. Federal Interstate Fund, which comes from federal income tax.
Available to the
We
states, which built the interstates. That's all he said. Oh, here you go.
Yes, they took federal income tax, handed it to the states, and said, maintain interstates that are coming through your states. You pay for it out of your paycheck, John.
Federal Interstate Fund. I
Right.
don't. Does it come from the federal? I don't think it comes from the federal income tax. That can't be right.
No, it
I'm
can't be
pretty
right.
damn
Right?
sure.
It
I'm pretty
can't
damn
be right
sure it
because you
comes
don't
from.
fucking want it to be right.
No,
That's
no, no.
all.
I'm
That's
pretty sure that's
all.
actually the case. I'm pretty sure that's actually the case that it comes from the states, because there are benefactor states and there are contributor states. States that contribute more and get back less, and then there are states that contribute less and get back more to maintain the interstate. I'm pretty damn sure.
Part of your federal income tax pays for infrastructure around the country.
I mean, sure, maybe it does.
And
I
that
don't know.
includes interstates. We could not take the federal interstate fund and expect corporations to pay for that. And not so that the people weren't taxed.
Okay, I already said I would be fine if the federal government paid for the interstate system.
Okay, so you're good with being taxed. All right, that's where I want to make sure that I
Yeah,
stand.
my voluntary tax. Yeah,
So it
where
is.
I
So
get to
because
choose
you're
my
okay
own.
with it,
I get
it's
to choose my
voluntary.
own. Yes, because I get
So
to
it's
choose
not
my own
theft.
tax burden.
Then it's not theft.
Not theft if I freely give you my money. No.
Right. But technically, you're not freely giving it because it's taken out of your check.
Right now, no.
Gotcha.
Right now, it's not freely given.
I agree. You're right. The fair tax is the way to go. I think the fair tax is a smart move, but the fair tax would still take care of all these things, and we wouldn't have to hope
Yes.
that corporations took care of it.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's why it's fine.
Because honestly, everything that a fucking corporation puts its hand on to take away from the federal government is going to cost us more money.
It's definitely the other way around. The federal government spends way more
I can promise you,
on things than a corporation would.
if corporations spent money on roads, they would monetize those roads. Period.
Probably, but they would just put more billboards, more likely, than trying to
There's no room for more
inconvenience.
billboards on most of our
Bullshit.
fucking roads.
Bullshit.
Drive through the
You've never
downtown
seen-
corridor in Orlando and count the billboards.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many you can't read all of them.
They have those ones that change. They have like three
God,
different
they
ones.
drive me fucking
and
crazy.
They change.
Because
Yeah.
they're so distracting. Is it? I think it's going to change again. Is there? God,
What's the next
it's
one?
not even a loop. They're all different. Oh my God. I got to hit this exit and go back.
I gotta read them
I got
all.
to see how many there are, right?
Yeah, that's how they would monetize it. I don't think they would inconvenience people that much, because then you're stopping the flow of traffic. When you have to go through tolls. I think it's more likely that they would put
no.
advertisement.
it would all be like an e-pass situation. They would get with the car manufacturers. Car manufacturers would make it part of the fucking computer chip in your car. I'm not kidding.
Like,
You know
as
it
soon
would
as you go
happen.
through tax,
Yeah.
as soon as you go through tax, like,
Mhm.
yeah.
And they would just
No.
charge it to you. It would just be an add-on to your car payment or your insurance payment every month. It would just
No,
be
I think the
a
most likely thing would be advertisements on the side of the road. There'd be a lot more advertisements.
okay. And
I really think that's the way that they would
so
go.
yeah, but what about ad blockers?
You don't have an ad blocker on your
Sure,
windshield.
you don't look at the fucking billboards.
Good luck. Everyone looks at billboards and reads them aloud too.
You know what they would do? They would put up a fucking speed limit sign, and right in the middle of the speed limit sign, they would have a small screen throwing up fucking advertisements as well. Speed
Yeah.
limit, eat at Wendy's, 25.
Yeah.
I could see it now.
Oh yeah. For sure.
So America just sets up a GoFundMe for interstates and will make Janexico pay for it. John Mexico. John Mexico pay for it.
Mexico will not pay for the fucking wall. To quote, I don't know what that guy's name is, Vicente Fox, I think was his name, the former president of Mexico. Mexico will not pay for the fucking wall. The way he said it, like, oh my god.
So, so ultimately, maybe a lot of Americans are confused about why their taxes are lower. I can relate to that, but I still don't like the fact that corporations are paying less money. This is really giving me this really fucking cringy Reaganomics vibe, where he's
Oh my
trying to
god.
he's trying to make
Well,
sure there's plenty of money up at the top, and that it's going to fucking funnel down to us at some
I mean,
point.
you realize that that's nothing new, right? Like under Obama, there was the same thing. Corporations didn't pay many taxes. The same thing under Bush. Same thing under Clinton.
Right. So then my
It's been the
question
same
is,
shit.
why do
It's the
we
same
keep
shit. Doesn't
fucking?
matter.
Why do we keep making it easier for these bastards to dodge taxes? Why?
Because they're paid. They're paid off. Politicians are paid off. It's much easier to pay a politician than to pay your taxes.
It's all a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think it was bullshit how it was just more of his bullshit speech, a talk about how he's doing great things for Americans, which technically a lot of people aren't seeing this as great, but again, maybe they need to look at the numbers. But it's not great when we do sit around and see the top corporations, Amazon, as we've already determined, not paying any fucking taxes.
Yeah.
And then, banks who obviously need money, instead of making $208 billion at the end of the year, they need to make $237 billion.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's important for banks to make more money. But that kind of goes into this next thing that I wanted to talk about. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Sanders Huckabee, Sarah Sanders Huckabee, Huckabee Sanders.
Sarah
She
Suckabee.
should not have two presidential campaign names, candidates in her name. You remember
Jesus.
Mike Huckabee? And then
Yeah.
there's Bernie Sanders. It fucks with me. I'm
Mike
like,
Huckabee.
is she like the love child of Bernie Sanders and Mike Huckabee?
Maybe.
I mean, because when I look at her, I could fucking believe it.
Yeah, she's got the worst qualities and looks, at least, of both of them.
But anyway, she's getting some flack.
What did she do now?
Well, she's getting flack more about her job, but she came out and said something, and people were just like, "Okay,
Oh,
enough of
Jesus.
this." She said on a report. She was on Fox News. She said that President Trump has never encouraged violence.
I like this.
And
This
this
fucking.
triggered.
You can tell how biased they are because they start with pathological liar Sarah Sanders,
Right.
blasted after insisting Trump has never encouraged violence.
Right. Well, now,
Yeah, I mean, he has,
no,
obviously.
Hold on. They put that in half quote because this was something other people are saying. This is things from sources are calling her this. They've called her a pathological liar.
Sources like raw story. Yeah.
Yeah, and something else. Somebody else said pathological was used, and then there was something else. Basically, that she's she's a paid liar, right? This is what her job is to
She's
be
a press
Trump's liar.
secretary. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but one of the articles I was reading was like, it's possible that she still has some dried up husk of humanity inside her that knows everything she's saying is just wrong and horrible, but she just keeps doing it.
hmm
But she said that he's never incited violence, and it was kind of pointed, because I've been thinking about this lately. There's the whole, the grabbing him by the pussy bullshit, and him being a misogynist, and all of this. But
yeah.
there were three different instances that this points out that were quotes from him or things that he said in 2015, and I remember this rally. And
Yeah,
him saying this, he one of a
the
protester
the
at one of
second
his
one is actually the first thing that came to mind when I
right,
heard of that. When you said that.
right at one rally,
Yeah.
a Trump supporter got punched, and he said maybe should have been roughed up. Okay, kind of calling for a little bit of violence. But then the next one in 2016, like you said,
hmm
encouraged supporters to knock the crap out of protesters at one of his rallies,
And then
and
he'll pay
offered to
for the
pay for the
legal
legal
fees.
fees.
That was awesome.
And then in 2018, he praised a Republican lawmaker who admitted to body slamming a reporter. Any guy that can do a body slam, he's my
Hell yeah.
guy. He's
No, I
my
remember
guy.
that. I remember that exact story. I can't remember who it was. It was some senator out of Montana, I believe. Where the reporter was just being a complete douchebag. Now, obviously, he didn't deserve being slammed, but I totally understand why he did it. He was being a complete piece of shit,
And that's
like to the guy's face. And yeah, he took fucking care of him. It was
and
great.
and it's not to say that reporters don't get out of hand. But you've got part of your fucking job, part of who you should be in these situations is fucking patient. If you can't
Mm.
be patient, I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah.
You've
I
got to
mean,
have the patience to tolerate some of this stupid shit that's going to be coming your way because, you've put yourself in a position where you could look as corrupted as everybody else around you because you're in the most corrupted place in our country, Washington, right?
yeah.
But my real question is this, John. All right, so the Me Too movement's been going on for a little while now. We have watched multiple politicians. We've seen multiple celebrities male celebrities being slammed for, sexual harassment, things like this, right? It comes out and there's an accusation made against Kevin Spacey. Next thing you know, he's fucking fired. He's gone. Fucking Roseanne makes an Ambien remark. Next thing you know, she's lost a TV show.
Yep.
Al Franken, makes a boob joke as a comedian on a fucking USO tour, and he get out of fucking office. Trump says grab him by the pussy, he gets elected president.
Oh my
Trump
god.
Trump can call for violence. He can promote violence. This is frowned upon, right? Inciting violence. We're watching YouTubers, we're watching new media be deplatformed and potentially arrested for inciting violence, right? Isn't that Alex Jones was being called out for inciting violence in a show where he is nothing but a fucking mocking troll?
Wait,
Can't
when
be
was he
taken
inciting violence?
But that's what he was accused of, inciting violence. Was one of the things that they said he was doing in his show. That's one of the reasons why they were taking him off the air, right?
No,
Deplatforming him. They talked
I don't
about
think so. Did he?
he would regularly incite violence in the things he was saying because
Oh yeah, I think that was like
because of
dubious
his
though. Like I
mocking,
think
the
that
way
was.
he would mock things and he would be in character, and they were trying to say that these were serious
Yeah.
calls to
I,
action.
yeah, I think they were just looking for an excuse to get rid of him. I don't
Okay.
think he was. Yeah, I don't think there's anything substantial there.
So why is it okay that these kind of things can be done by the President of the United States and no accountability for them? Yet,
I mean, no other politician who advocates violence would ever, be punished for it in any kind of way. It's not just him.
please
I
tell me
mean,
you're
no one
being
would.
sarcastic right now.
No, I'm not. Maxine Waters did. It was fine. No one got mad at her.
I was I think that she should have been taken down a notch or two herself. I think she should
Yeah,
have.
sure. I'm just saying there's no accountability in Washington, is what I'm saying. If they get one person with it, they have to get them all,
Well, right,
and
but
that
they
would be
have they've how
the
many
entirety of Washington would be gone.
how many politicians have had to step down since the Me Too all this Me Too movement has started? We've seen
Two?
multiple politicians, more than that.
How many? Because I can think of Al Franken, and that's about it. But I
Al
assume there's at least
Franken,
one more.
and well, okay, so either asked to step down or persecuted over it. You know,
Okay, so everyone's persecuted over it,
well,
right?
um,
I mean, come
Al
on.
Franken was asked to step down. There's two other guys, and I can't because I don't know most politicians' names,
Yeah,
and I
so
can't remember.
I
I
mean,
know
come
at
on.
least two more,
There's
but
no
even one,
accountability.
if one is held accountable, that's enough for someone else to be held
Mm,
accountable. If two, three people in Washington are held
That's what
accountable
I'm
for
saying.
this,
They'd have to get
why
rid of
is
all
he
of them.
not held accountable?
That's what
Well,
I'm saying.
not
They'd have to get rid
everybody's
of all of
public
them.
about it. Not everybody gets caught. It's a
Only
matter
the
of
right
being
ones. Yeah,
caught. It's a matter of it being exposed. It's a matter of it being out there.
yeah.
Is
No,
he
it's all
real?
out there. That's the thing is, people know that this stuff is happening. They just don't put it out in the media until they're ready to get rid of that particular politician.
So then the ultimate question then becomes, should the president be above the law?
No, of
I
course
mean,
not.
should his position be as wide open as it is, as it's clearly defined to be practically, that he is above the law? He has to be impeached before he can be indicted for a crime. He
Yeah,
can't, I mean, it's harder to apparently lose the job as president than it is to lose it as a fucking postman. And you can work, it's hard to get fired from the fucking post office, right? You got to pretty much go
yeah,
postal.
uh,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, seriously.
yeah.
So, how do we fix that? How do we put the limitations on the president to where he can't just feel free to do these kind of things, him or anyone else? I don't care who it is. I mean, how can we do this in this social justice world we live in? That this isn't called to account.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't really have the solutions. I mean, we need to. I guess people need to be more active and aware of the corruption and all that kind of garbage, and be able to actually like have an actual like a call to hold these people accountable, as opposed to just kind of letting it go. I mean, like oh, rage for this 24-hour period until something else happens, and I'll be outraged about that and completely forget about the first thing.
I mean, is it that being that Trump is the veritable example of this going on right now? Is he just? I mean, are people thinking he's doing such great things that these kind of things are, they don't matter? They're different than the other hundred
I
thousand
think
people that they
I
don't
think
like doing the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah. I think people are just used to it, and they're just numb to it. It's just like, oh, you look more government corruption. Okay, what's next? Like,
I was what was it, a week or two ago? I was actually saying, I mean, I can get behind his domestic policies. He's been doing some things. Our economy's moving upwards. These kind of things, right?
mhm.
Well, I mean, I'm starting to have some of the wool pulled back. I'm starting to look at things like, for instance, our economy. Our economy's improving, yes, but do you realize that we've still gone almost $1 trillion more dollars in debt? We're
Yeah, of
still
course.
going in debt even though our economy's improving. And that shouldn't be happening. We should be seeing a change in that, not continued growth, or not increased growth.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is like, yeah, I mean, the money's not real, right? You just print more of it and you spend more of
Well,
it,
you can't just
and no
print
one's gonna.
more.
No, 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 that's right. You just put it on the
You
bank
put numbers
account
in the
digitally.
computer, right? Move
Right.
the abacus a little, right?
Yeah, exactly. You just move that decimal over one more place. What is this cruisy toilets? I actually am not familiar. I'm gonna check it out before I recommend putting it on the.
Oh, it's cruisy toilets
Screen.
because he was talking about. Tinchy mentioned the good old Bush days where we hunted senators for gay touches
Oh
under an
yeah, it's not
airport
real.
bathroom stall. So these are
Yeah,
probably cruisy toilets that are kind of geared towards it.
yeah. No, it's not a real site. It's for a Ford Cruisy. The cruising addicts. No. 5 gay York toilets. Washrooms, gay pride, 2019 gay cruising. Jesus Christ. Cruisinggays.com.
Yeah. Tinchy
Two
said the
cubicles
site's
and
not still
urinals.
around.
Yeah, it's for a
Surprise.
Ford.
Yeah. Republicans have stopped using bathrooms now. They've moved on. That's what
Yeah.
happened with the. That was the solution. You go to other places and do it now. Now you
But yeah,
want to find them at ref stops,
they can get married now.
right? They can just get
So it's
married.
fine. Yeah.
But what do they do with their beard?
They keep them on the side for public appearances and things like that.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Oh
But
yeah.
so yeah, I don't know, John. I'm trying to figure this out. We've got to figure out how to put some containment on the president, don't we? Because honestly, I don't understand how we're not creating more dictators. I mean, it's surprisingly. I mean, he's the first president to truly expose just how wild west his position
Yeah.
is and what he can get away with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he's also the first one to show how much actual real corruption there is based on how many people have been, arrested and, thrown out of their job since he started his term.
I will say that in that point, I can agree that it's kind of a good thing because Donald Trump is willing to be openly corrupt to exploit those corrupt loopholes and openly tell everybody that he's doing it most of the
Right.
time. Right? So we're now the veil is truly coming off for the American public. I think
Right.
now, we hear things about lobby money and this, that, and the other thing. But
Hmm.
Trump is kind of exposing the dark
Right.
underbelly of
Not
Washington.
only that, but the left is telling on themselves. They're saying, "Oh, look, he's using these things that we've always used," and then they're like, "Oh, wait, shit."
Hey, who?
No, everyone
What's
knows.
up, G Life? Do you know?
Oh, what's up,
We've
man?
got G Life in the house. Build the wall, MAGA.
Wait.
Okay.
The G Life, like the G Life.
Is that the G
Holy
Life?
shit!
Are you
Is
serious?
that the one and only G Life? We're fucking blessed. Holy shit!
Trump
The
2020.
G Life. G Life.
G
But yes,
Life.
Tinchy though. Yes, we do need to get those duels. I don't know about dawn though. I don't
That's
know if I want to
way
do
too
duel
fucking
at dawn.
early.
That's way too early. Can we do it at like lunch or something?
Right before lunch. That way
No, right.
you can enjoy.
I would say
You don't
right
want to do.
after.
You don't want to do it
No,
on a
right
full stomach.
after.
It's hard on a full. You're slower. Remember, your reaction time is
Yeah,
diminished because your body is going into,
but it
you
might be
know,
your last meal. You might want to.
no, breakfast would be your
Yes,
last
see,
meal.
that's
Enjoy
better.
your
Duels
fucking
at.
breakfast.
See, there we go. Duels at a reasonable hour. That's
Duels at a
much
reasonable hour. There you
better.
go.
That's much better. Absolutely. No,
I
I'm totally down for duels though. Like that should still be legal. I know there's a couple of states that you can actually settle your differences with someone as long as there's police present. You can settle it with a fist fight. Like you're actually able to settle your differences with a fist fight as long as the police are present. It's done on the right conditions. Like
John, why do you make shit up?
I'm not making that up.
Look, Jesse.
I will look it up right now.
Look, Jesse. You can't
I will look it
just
up right
make
now.
shit up to make yourself more popular.
Nope, I'm doing it right now.
Are you?
Keep talking. Yeah, keep talking. I'm looking it up.
But if we midget, but if we duel it, Don, we got all day to bury you. I
Yeah,
like
you
that.
don't. I'm not that big.
Yeah, you're
It
not
won't
that
take that long
small.
to. It won't take that long to bury me.
Maybe if we
You can do
bury
a
you,
shallow grave. I won't really care. I
maybe if
mean,
we
throw
bury
me in
you
the
on your
ocean.
side, It's called mutual
Let's see.
combatant laws. Mutual
Mutual
combat.
combatant.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. But
I told you. See, I wasn't fucking making that up.
tell me if it's in Washington. If they have that law in
Mutual
Washington
combat.
D.C., that would be fun
Yeah,
to go to Washington D.C. and challenge the president to a fisticuffs.
yeah. Abraham Lincoln actually almost got into a duel with swords. Yeah, Seattle, Washington is one of them.
Seattle, you can just get into a fist fight.
Mm-hmm. Iowa, Illinois. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just kind of reading. This isn't really going to help me out much.
Well,
Mutual combat.
if anybody wants to go and have a legal brawl, let's take a road trip.
Yeah, these are the places. That's right. Fight me IRL. I'll meet you in a mutual combat state. Texas, Virginia, Washington State, which we just went through with Seattle. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a thing, man.
Well, that's kind of cool. I mean, that's not a bad
I'm
thing, I
totally
guess.
down, yeah.
You know, um, I'm surprised the laws haven't been tweaked to say dance battles. I think in the 80s, 90s would have pushed them into dance, change it to dance battles. But
Well, I don't think you need a police presence for that. People pretty much know who's been served and who hasn't. When it comes to dance battles.
so I don't know, John. I think it'll be really interesting to see the next president, the next
Yeah,
person that comes in after Trump, whether it's 2020 or whether it's 2024. That's going to be an interesting presidency because
yeah. It's gonna be a great race.
this is a hell of an act to follow. I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Oh
it
yeah.
really is.
They're ramping up to do a really good job of it.
Right? It's like,
I'm so glad we started the show when we did because we have a good chance of covering the entire election.
oh
It's gonna be a
yeah,
lot of fun.
we're gonna be all over that shit.
In fact, I
Yeah,
think we'll talk about more about it off mic, but we should definitely do some live stream coverage of like debates, things like that. It'll be fun if the time and dates are good. I
sure,
think it'd be a
and
good idea.
yeah, and if it doesn't require a lot of technology, I could
Yeah,
boomer my way through it.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
I like that midget. I think the
Yeah,
aftermath of a good serve leaves enough evidence of who served whom.
exactly. Yeah, it's absolutely true.
I think dance battles are the way we need to go. God, it would be so much
Yeah,
more impressive than a nuclear war, right?
play me in DDR, scrub.
Bitch asses. Come on.
Yeah.
I can moonwalk. All right, well,
Fucking
John,
what?
I'm kind of that's kind of where I'm at right now. That was
Yeah.
kind of the last I had. I was hoping you might have some more profound thoughts on our president who's above the law, or presidents in general being above the law. I think that kind of
And
goes. Go ahead.
oh, sorry. No, I was gonna address Midget B in the chat. Should we go back to tracksuits too? Well, if Russia has their way and they invade us and take us over, we're gonna have tracksuits, squatting, and cigarettes all at the same time.
I have two tracksuits in my closet
Of
just in
course you
case.
do.
Just in case.
Are they? Was it velour or some shit like some kind of mafia hitman? It's
Yeah,
open
they're
on the
that.
chest, and you
They
got
they
the cross right here, the gold cross
they feel
on your
like
furry chest. Yeah.
they feel like crushed velvet, but it's actually terry. It's that terry, so it's soft and it's warm. You want it
Right.
warm in case a gulag is ever in your future.
Naturally, yeah.
Uh,
What's this Reuters article? I'm ready. Putin to U.S. I'm ready for another Cuban Missile style crisis. If you want one, badass. Let's do it.
he is calling us out on this. He's like, he's like, fine, put fucking missiles in Europe and see what I do. He pretty much said that. He's like, go
Yeah.
ahead,
Europe has their own missiles.
walk away from the treaty, put fucking missiles in Europe and see what I do.
Yeah, Europe has their own missiles though. They don't need long range missiles.
That
They're right
doesn't
there.
right, but the whole point to the treaty was that we weren't putting missiles that close to Russia anymore.
Mm.
So
Wasn't it long? I thought it was
now,
long range. I thought it was about how much range the missiles could have.
No,
I don't
that
know.
was part of it, but we also couldn't have. There was a proximity thing going on there too. We needed to stay well the fuck
Mm,
back, so we didn't have, short range access to them as well. This
gotcha.
was an article I read last week where Putin was kind of calling us out and going, "Okay, we're going to have to walk away from the agreement as well. But
Well, I'm
if you
sure.
start fucking around with nukes near us, we're going
Yeah,
to respond."
I'm sure Cuba would could use the money, that they would receive in housing a nuke.
Well, I don't think he's actually talking about going back to Cuba and like the original.
No,
He's just
it has to
saying
be Cuba.
we could. I'm ready for this whole Cold War thing to kick up again,
You have
which
to tell
it
him it
is.
has to be Cuba or it doesn't count.
Mm.
See what he says.
I
Be
think
like,
he's
nope,
gonna.
better be Cuba or it doesn't count. That's it.
I think he's gonna go for.
No balls.
He'll probably try for. What is the final key in the keys called?
Final key in the
The lowest
keys.
key, yeah. The Florida Keys are in a little chain. The lowest one, that's
Oh, I
closest to
don't.
Cuba. But anyway,
Fuck, I don't know.
that's where he'll go. Cuba's, he don't want to fuck with Cuba anymore.
Cuba.
He wants to go to. He'll just go ahead and try and drop in the Keys. He'll take over one of the islands.
Yeah, that won't spark fucking World War
Yeah,
Three.
it's fucking Key West. Who cares about Key West, right? Trump won't
It's
care.
the
He
it's
doesn't.
the
There's no.
principle of the
That
thing.
last island doesn't have any golf courses. So what does he
It's the
fucking care?
principle of the thing. I don't think you understand.
It's just Putin. He's my friend. I told him, just take the island. You take
Yeah,
one
he's
of them.
they're
We have
certainly acting like
seven
friends.
keys. There's
They're
seven.
certainly they're certainly acting like friends, right? By threatening each other. Totally
Well,
acting like friends.
um, I was listening to Henry Rollins on Joe Rogan's show, and he was kind of saying,
Mm.
one of the point he was talking about ultimately was how everybody plays Trump. Right? Trump thinks he's got all of it going on, but it's actually people playing him. He even went as far as to say Melania played him because she was coming from ultimately a third world country, and she comes to America and attached herself to him very quickly, and got herself set up, saying that
Mm.
she kind of played him to get what she wanted. But
I'll have to hear his
yeah,
arguments.
he's saying, Putin and Kim Jong Un, they play him, to get what they want, and most of this stuff that goes on is more the visual that we see, but underneath it all, there's the money. He said it's all about money. He said there's money underlying there,
Mm.
whether it be personal, business, political. There's money under there, so that's where the friendship is, and all this stuff up at the top is just surface bullshit to keep us
Oh
distracted.
yeah, yeah. Naturally.
Um, because I don't know. Russia's not supporting us in Venezuela. This is another sticking point. Stay the fuck out of Venezuela, America. And
Yeah.
China's backing them on this. They're both backing Maduro. I'm like, why the fuck is China backing Maduro? Oh, because they're dictators too.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not just like, hey, you like to oppress your people, beat us too. Let's be friends. Like,
No,
I'm sure there's other things going on, imports and exports, and
so,
that's probably more likely.
well,
More likely
apparently there's
economic.
not much being imported to Venezuela to anybody except Maduro. I mean, those people are fucking starving.
Yeah,
So not a
they
lot
could
of
just eat.
imports.
They should just eat the bolivars. That's all they gotta do. Just eat their money. There's plenty of it.
Well, I don't know.
It's full of fiber, I'm sure. High in fiber.
Yeah, they because I did read something else a while back that talked about how like the FBI and how they approach cases. I remember telling you a little bit about it. I don't know. I think it was off mic or on mic, whatever, about how they have looked at his organization and his campaign, his organization, everything, and the people he deals with, and how it's very much set up like a mafia, an organized crime
Mm.
structure. And when it comes right down to it, Trump winds up being the patsy in a sense. He's the guy that everybody can manipulate.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
You know,
how it's been though. I mean, like Obama was the same way. He's the one you always blame for everything going wrong, even though it wasn't always his fault.
so what does that say about us? What is it? Where does that
We
leave
talk
us
way
in
too
the
much.
end?
means we put way too much stock in the office of the presidency. We don't look at who actually holds the power. And before anyone gets all conspiratorial, I'm talking about the legislator, I'm talking about Congress.
Hmm. No, I
Not
understand.
talking about them.
I
you
well,
know?
I understand where the power is supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
The checks and balances are supposed to be the most powerful part of our government, in my opinion, right? That is the key to making everything copacetic is checks and
Hmm.
balances. But is he not proving that he will work around checks and balances? He will. I
I
mean,
mean, it's still
if I
if it's within his power, he's not working around it, right? He's doing what's in his within his power to do.
well, right, he can use his power to work around things, right?
Those
As
workarounds have been around, for a long
sure,
time and been used plenty of times before.
some have, yeah. I will agree with that. I mean, but I think he does it like regularly. Like he does it more than any other fucking president, in my opinion. I mean, now he's just got it's like he's. I almost think I expect to see him with a hand in his pocket all the time, holding on to that pocket veto, ready to sling it out at any time. Um, even like all these people that are being indicted in regards to the Mueller investigation, whatever. But like Manafort now states, I think it was New Jersey, is it New Jersey, has charges lined up for Manafort with the
Oh yeah,
expectation that
yeah,
Trump's going to pardon him.
right.
So they're like, okay, well,
Yeah,
we've got
we did
charges.
talk about that. Whether or not, I think that was actually with Tinchi. I was talking about that. Whether or not he can pardon someone at a state level, and apparently he cannot.
Mm-mm.
Apparently, he can only uh, pardon at a federal level.
Yes,
I was very. I didn't know that until we looked it up.
and
That was really interesting.
that conversation was touched on a little bit by from leaders in New York or politicians in New York because they were looking at Trump,
Hmm.
um, you know, when he was asking whether or not he could pardon himself, and they said that's
Right.
fine if he wants to go that route, but we will pick up state indictments if if it's able to be done. Like if there's evidence to do so, it's going
Yeah.
to fall to a state level. So that's the indication. Like New York is prepared to charge Trump if they
Yeah, but
can.
he's still not going to see jail time. I mean, if Jesse Smollett's not going to see jail time, Trump is certainly not going to see jail time. No fucking way.
Do
He's
you
a politician. He's a rich man. He's no way he's going to see jail time.
you don't think Trump has alienated enough people in Washington, in his own party, outside his party, throughout the country, enough to where they would want to make an example of him?
No.
You don't think there's any? I don't know,
Example
man.
of what? An
Well,
example of what? A corrupted
like,
politician? You
well,
mean like all of them?
right. Well,
Right.
right. But this is one. This is one that we can like do something about, right? Like if he were being
Yeah.
indicted, I think they
And
would
then
try
start
to
the
throw the
precedent
fucking
of
book at him
doing
as
that with
much as they
all of
can.
the other politicians? I don't think so.
I mean, could he get a
They're
fair
gonna.
trial in this country?
I doubt it. Because someone's either a judge is either gonna be against him already, or for him, and a jury is gonna be
Well,
fucking ridiculous to find.
how can? Well, yeah. How do you have a jury of your peers with Trump?
When you have no peers, because you are the God Emperor.
You know who would have to sit on that jury? It would have to be people like Jeff Bezos, Mark.
Hmm.
What's his last name? He owns sports teams. Shark Tank. Mark Cuban. Is Cuban right? Mark Cuban. Yeah.
Sure.
People like that. Bill Gates would have to sit on that. Probably have a couple of Saudi Arabians. If there are any
Couple
sheiks
Russians,
if there's any sheiks visiting, they've got to have a lot of money. It's got to be billionaires.
couple of ex KGB agents.
Little Elon Musk on the
Yeah.
jury. These are the kind of peoples that you'd have to have on the jury. Is that correct? I mean, or is it just peers in the more general sense? If they're human, they're peers.
Oh yeah, Tenchi is a good idea. Just all current living presidents being on the jury. All the yeah,
They're all libtards too. All the people I named, yeah,
yeah,
probably.
they are. They are.
All current living presidents would be interesting on the jury together. Do we
Yeah.
have 12 living presidents?
I don't think so. I think Carter is the oldest one, right? That's still living, or is he?
Did
I think he's still
Nixon
living.
died. Gerald
Yeah.
Ford died.
Reagan's dead.
Reagan's dead. Bush Sr. died. Or did
That's
he?
right. Did he die?
He did die, didn't he?
I, oh yes, yeah, I think he did.
So we've got
Yeah.
George W., we've got Clinton, we've got Carter, and we've got Obama. Who else do
Yeah.
we have still alive? Gerald Ford
Trump.
did die.
Trump could be on the jury as well.
Not his own jury.
Yeah, it'll be
No.
fine. What's a better peer than the
Barron.
God Emperor himself?
Barron. He could have Barron.
Barron could do it.
Barron
I don't think he's old enough. Don Jr. could though.
Bush Jr. Bush
Yeah.
Jr. LOL. Papa Bush's toast. Yes.
Yeah, he is.
That's a nice way to put it. Too soon? Maybe.
Lil Bush. Yeah. Shrub.
So, did they cremate Bush Sr.?
I don't know. He's probably got some
Was
mausoleum
he a
somewhere.
burning Bush?
Ha ha.
It's the best I got this late hour.
Yeah, I think it's about time to wrap it up.
Yeah, Shrub Jr.
Jeb could be the stenographer. Oh my god.
Jeb is a stenographer. Hey, is he going to
That's a
run?
good one. Jeb, I fucking hope not.
Well, I mean, you've got if
He
they're
got
gonna
so fucking cucked the last election. It was so bad.
We
Poor
haven't-
Jeb.
have we
He
heard,
didn't deserve that.
we haven't heard a peep out of him since, have we?
No, we haven't. It's
there's-
probably a good thing.
But there's no reason for him not to run. He hasn't been ridiculed or like,
Yeah, but do you think he's gonna be able to go up against Trump again? He couldn't do it the first time.
He never went up against Trump though.
They had direct,
Not in the
like,
one-on-one. They did. They
Not
did. They
one-on-one,
had direct banter, and he
Yeah.
got
And-
punked by Trump. Yes.
Oh yeah,
But he didn't have to stand toe to toe with him, and who knows? Maybe he would have pulled out a Rocky. But
no, not Jeb. No one was excited about Jeb.
Jeb would have trouble making it through the
The
rest
primaries.
of
Yeah.
the rest of the candidate. But of course, he would also have to switch parties because there's not going to be any other Republican candidates.
Right.
not
He
gonna
could run
happen,
as an
sadly.
independent.
Yeah, they fixed the race.
Oh,
Remember?
imagine if he went Democrat. Well, he wouldn't do that though.
Who?
Jeb.
Why
He's
not?
too white. He's too straight, white, and male. He wouldn't make it.
It
Not even close.
apparently one of the easiest ways to get the presidency is to just switch
Yeah.
parties, so that party will put you on their ticket.
Yeah, Midget B, you're right. Jeff's wife isn't even excited about Jeb. But Jeb's wife is excited about her boyfriend though, so that's always a good thing. Totally fucked it up by not being able to speak.
Well, Jeb's wife.
He is a modern Democrat though.
Jeb's wife is straight. She's not a big fan of Bush,
Yeah,
so
big
she's
fan of her boyfriend though.
Yeah, she's
He's gonna maintain that joke.
straight white.
I'll
Woman.
say it again later when it's funny. Again.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get out of here before we fuck up even more.
Yeah, we don't fuck up. Hey, folks, thanks for listening tonight. Glad we had some interaction. Good job looking out for us and giving us some feedback, some talky talk. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends,
Right.
tell your family, tell
Congressman.
tell an officer if someone
Ooh,
touches
yeah.
you inappropriately. But
Yes.
outside of that, tell your mommy and daddy. Unless it was one of them, which then just tell your diary.
All right.
But anyway,
Jesus.
incest for life. No, that was a joke. It's the only thing. That's what Reddit,
Hashtag,
That's what
that was
Reddit's
a
good
joke.
for. All right. But anyway, all right, Mr. Uniposer, you have yourself a great night. Thanks, folks, for coming by and stopping to see us. And we will be looking forward to shooting the shit when, John?
That would be Monday at 9 p.m. is Eastern Standard Time, where we should be having Stephen Ignoramus on.
Nice.
That'll be fun.
Stephen
Yeah.
Ignoramus. John, there are two places
That's
where you
right.
can be found now, and that is?
Yes. You can find us on Twitter at the Gen Gap P, down in the description, and also alongside it, or at least under it in the description, is our new Discord server, which is now open to the public. So go for it.
And
Get in there.
remember, he said open to the public, not to the
Yep.
pubic.
Right,
So
not to the
keep your
pubic.
dick pics to yourself.
Well, no, that's not true. There is a not safe for work like text channel in there.
Do you need to see some dick pics, John, or can we just say
I
no
don't
dick
need
pics?
to.
Can
I
we
don't
go
need
with
to.
no dick pics? Folks, we're going to close the
Dick
show
pics,
with one
dick
final
pics are
law.
not moderated.
One final rule. No dick pics. Thank you very much.
Hashtag yes dick pics.
John, fuck off. You guys have a great night. We are out of here. We'll see you Monday. Peace.
Yep. See